Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Patchy Fudd, and welcome to Media Watch. Tonight, with the Australian policy in turmoil, the topic of refugees being in our thoughts and the influence they appear to have on us, we look to as why is this such a much debated topic? The truth, many believe that our government is treating refugees way too generously. If you watch Channel 9's claim of welfare rip-off, you would have noticed how their special investigation aired. You would have noticed claims of a 40% increase in 2 years. This comes as their special investigation found $628 million being lost because of their welfare.
With no end in sight to the current wave of asylum seekers, 9 News can reveal the true welfare cost to Australian taxpayers. A special investigation has uncovered the massive Centrelink bill to care for our new refugee.
But what's more amusing was the fact that Denham Hitchcock, a Channel 9 reporter, stated that these asylum seekers were here on benefits from the government and almost all of them would arrive on the mainland.
The journey is desperate and dangerous but effective. This year, more than 1,600 boat people have made it to Christmas Island, and almost all will make it to the mainland. Many more refugees arrive by plane.
Lies, lies and more lies. Who were these asylum seekers? Where did this so-called special investigation come from? And how exactly did Channel 9 complete the investigation without thoroughly researching their own statistics? Though, according to the Department of Immigration,
the vast majority of these people came to Australia on valid visas as part of our dedicated offshore refugee resettlement program, or were proposed as special humanitarian program entrants. Largely, they were not asylum seekers.
How could they have been asylum seekers if they were granted to Australia? Clearly, Nine has not done its correct research, and it should have properly informed its audience without presenting a load of nonsense. Their so-called information coming from the freedom of speech shows refugees coming after World War II and Vietnam War. This title of refugees could not have been correct if almost all of them are now Australian citizens. Children who arrive over a course of 2 decades have had children, and so they were entitled to a baby bonus, and many of them, working for even longer than a few decades, are entitled to age pension. But to make things worse, Howard Stettler also claimed the same statistics without even consulting Nine to see if the actual report was correct.
Now we're going to talk about another kind of rip-off. We're going to talk about the welfare rip-off by a lot of people who claim refugee status. Would you believe, this is the figures, the Centrelink benefits have gone up nearly 40% to an estimated $628 million over 2 years.
He made a mockery of himself, and he doesn't even complete his own research and feeds his listeners with the same amount of rubbish as Channel 9 has. However, he was not the only one who made a mockery of himself, but a few others as well. Figures like Alan Jones were also to be blamed for false accusations. They should not have presented the evidence if they would not get the information accurate.
Now, the total cost of Centrelink benefits has increased to refugees 40% in 2 years. Now $628 million. Sit down, don't start smashing the doors down.
Centrelink has also claimed that they would not account for Nine's special investigation, and the information the Nine presented was utterly incorrect.
Centrelink cannot account for the figures in Channel 9's news report. The figures do not reflect the data Centrelink provided.
Clearly, Nine should have completed a thorough amount of research before presenting their own facts. More recently, Mr Abbott, the opposition leader, has claimed that he will reduce the number of refugees intake to comply with the growing cost of caring for these refugees, as they are costing Australia too much. However, the Immigration Minister has reaffirmed that the Labor Party will try to increase the amount of refugees who seek shelter in Australia by 6,000 refugees. He has also claimed that it will act as a method of scaring refugees and forcing them to return and even stay where they originally came from.
The government says the increased intake acts as a disincentive for asylum seekers to get on boats.
It sends the signal that there's another way, that you don't have to get on the boat.
However, this is incorrect. Australia does not have a refugee problem, it has a government problem. Because most refugees who are across the globe live in countries such as Pakistan, Syria and Iran, who host the most refugees on the globe. If we were to look at the number of refugees who have entered the country, you could easily tell that most of them have entered by land and not by ocean. As Australia is enclosed and any refugee who wishes they could enter would have to go through sea. They would not attempt to enter our country if they were not serious about finding a means of escaping and doing their best for their families. On a different note, Nine's own program 60 Minutes has aired a report on Australian detention centres. But what was even more amusing was the fact that 60 Minutes claimed that they have complied with the rules when undertaking a report about the refugee detention centre.
A group of Iranians held at the island's detention centre has agreed to a visit. How many people in here? And to comply with the rules, we'd supplied our names days in advance.
They seem sure they were complying with the rules when they mentioned it prior, but it does seem ironic they did not comply with it.
We'd tried the front door without success. So this was the only way to show how and where asylum seekers are detained. A bird's eye view from an unmanned camera drone. It's unconventional, but I think it's the only chance we've got of actually being able to see inside. At least this way, we could see over those high fences.
It is up to you to believe, are we too generous, or are we the ones who are paying the most for this? Thank you for your time.